Hi, good evening everyone. We are coming to the end of molecular inheritance in class 12 biology. Today is the ultimate day to discuss about the molecular genetics. We had yesterday had a small discussion on introductory talk on DNA fingerprinting. Today we will continue the discussion and try to find out what are the techniques employed in finger printing method. We will try to do that one. Just to recollect, we will know what is DNA fingerprinting. Let us try to remember. In simplest way, we can say it involves in identifying differences in specific regions of the DNA, which is called satellite DNA, where we have micro and many segments, and these segments have repeat sequences in tandem sequences. That means, again to recollect it, AT and CG rich area, and this area is the non-coding area, and normally the satellite DNA will be seen concentrating in telomeres and centromeres. Well, that is the introductory part for today's work, and we know very well that the repetitive DNA, what we call satellite DNA, is non-coding DNA. It will not code for any amino acids, but the non-coding regions are inheritable. Whatever changes would happen in those areas or mutations will happen in those areas, maybe a single point base change may be there due to many reactions in the human system, and that will be inherited, and that makes the variations, or what's called DNA polymorphism. So when you say DNA polymorphism, that means variation of genetic material at the nucleotide level, and that polymorphism refers to poly means many, morpha means the structure or the appearance or function, whatever you want to call, we can call it, and this brings about the changes in the variations what we see in the human beings. So that particular sequences will make it possible for finger printing technique. Let us try to know the fingerprinting technique and what are the steps involved in that. If you look at this schematic drawing I have drawn to save the time of the recording. So here we have what's called a sample is taken, and that sample of any individual is taken, and that sample may be taken from any bodily parts. It may be taken from saliva, maybe from the blood, maybe sweat even, or maybe the tissue, or even from the dead person we can take this one. It seems that DNA is stable for almost 1000 years. So if you want to know a person who is dead 500 years ago and find out to know whether he belongs to our generation or some family sequences, that can be done. That is the stable nature of DNA. So let us try to know how we do it. Now the step number 1 is taking the sample, as I said, from any bodily parts, and then that sample is treated with solutions, with medium. If you remember the extraction of chlorophyll, we use chlorophene or carbon tetrachloride, like that. They are called the solvents. So a solvent is employed here, and take a small sample, and they're very precise techniques. You and I cannot do it unless we are trained, and there are specially trained people for that. And they take the solvent and they try to extract the DNA of that material. And that DNA, now supposing the DNA is taken schematically, that means we just to understand, we are trying to write this diagram and find out. So schematically we can say, so the extracted DNA may look like that. It will be a long thread of coiled structure that may be there, that is the extracted DNA. And then that extracted DNA sample will be treated with the scissors, biological scissors or biological shears, and they are the enzymes. In this case it's called restriction endonuclease. That's treated when they treated for some time, and that restriction enzyme will cut or nick the long chain of the DNA into smaller segments. Segments may be of different sizes, but it will cut the DNA into smaller segments. This is the three, I am showing it, the segment. These segments may be variable nucleotide tandem repeats, it may contain, or it may contain short tandem repeats. Yesterday we talked about it. Variable nucleotide tandem repeats means there will be more than 10 sequences which will be repeating itself. It may be 10, 12, 13, 14, like that. There is no constancy in the number of nucleotides that will be repeated, and such repeats will be more than 500 in a DNA segment. So that will be taken. So these segments may contain all those things. Then these segments are now, DNA segments are subjected to different types of filters. One of the most commonly employed filter is called gel electrophoresis. Now they make a gel, maybe something like an agar-agar gel or some other medium. New techniques have come up. What I am telling is maybe a little old story, but every day the DNA finger technique finger printing will change. Therefore, whatever we say in the textbook we are telling to you. And so electrophoresis takes place, and that will acts like a filter paper. If you have done the paper chromatography of the chloroplast, you see the bands will separate like that, yellow, then green, the bands like that. So here also the small segments will arrange themselves in such a way, smaller segments will be at the bottom and the larger segment will be at the top. So that is the electrophoresis, because we don't want to discuss that in detail here. And then that particular gel is transferred onto a membrane. Again the membrane may be a nylon membrane or an artificial membrane. It depends upon the laboratory and the technician and the scientist who is doing it, but they transfer it to a membrane. What is the purpose of doing that? That means to say they transfer it so that there will be a good spread. Now from gel they are taking it to a thin, because they have to subject the DNA fragments into various other treatments. So it is removed and transferred to membrane. And this membrane, on this membrane you have DNA segments or pieces. That DNA segment pieces, what we call it, what you see in the blue color, will be now hybridized. Means they will make them to recombine with the known type of the DNA segments. It may be either it will be the smaller segments or larger segments. They will be used. That means the known identified DNA segments are used to hybridize. That means the smaller segments, and they hybridize and they amplify. Their number will increase, and that is the hybridization. It may take some hours or sometimes it may take some days for hybridization. and then they will try to use label. They label it means they use some isotopes as probes, so that we will be able to identify them. Then that particular material is autoradiograph. That means they will take the X-ray of that one. When the X-ray is taken, that's called autoradiograph. You get the X-ray sheet in which you find the images or dark and white segments or observation when you look into the X-ray film, and such a thing we get it, and that will be now analyzed. When it is analyzed, then we will find the bands like that. So that will produce the bands, and the X-ray will produce the bands. And when you look at the bands or the small impressions, here we have taken two individuals' DNA has been taken like that. The same cycle has been done, and you see in one case, you find here in the red case, you will see it, let's say chromosome 7 has been analyzed in both the persons. You see that these two bands here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bands are there. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bands are there. If you look at the red and the blue bands, you find there is a variation in the size. Some of them are small, some of them are long, some of them are thick, some of them are thin. So like that you get the DNA bands, and these bands will be analyzed by the specialist, and they may compare with some reference material, and the result will, they will announce the result. Result means they say whether the DNA of a person A and the sample DNA, that is person A, or the referral DNA will match or not. So in case if it's a case where a crime scene was there, a dead person was there, they take the dead person's DNA, and if they suspect somebody, they take the suspect's DNA. Let's imagine the red one is the dead man's, say, DNA, and the blue one maybe a suspect is taken. When you look at these, they do not match. They do not match. So the crime scene indicates here, the analysis of the crime scene indicates in this case that the suspect is not a real one because the DNA will not match. So this is how the DNA fingerprinting process starts. Let me repeat for a quick review. The sample DNA is taken, it is put into a solvent. Solvent type may differ depending upon the type of the DNA they are taking, and then they extract the DNA, and that DNA is subjected to restriction enzyme, that is restriction endonuclease, and that cuts the DNA into smaller segments, and these segments are transferred to on a gel, and it's called gel electrophoresis, and then they will remove the gel and transfer it to a membrane, a thin membrane, and that membrane will contain DNA segments, and then they use the probes. Probes means the known DNA, labeled DNA, and they will try to hybridize them. Hybridize means they will try to join with one another and making it amplified, making it available for observation, and then that will be that subjected to X-ray. When they subjected to X-ray from this type of a membrane, they get the bands of DNA, where various types of bands of DNA may be there, and then the analysis takes place by comparing with a known referral point. The result will come out, and that is the steps involved in DNA fingerprinting technique. Now there are two types of tests available today, or many types are there, but normally in the laboratories they do what's called RFLP. RFLP refers to restriction fragments length polymorphs. They take the the first type, and then they use the restriction enzyme. The second one is called polymerase chain reaction. It's called PCR test. Now you are very familiar with this word PCR test, because for the COVID virus they are doing the PCR test. So a PCR test is more common nowadays. We will not go into details of those things because it is not essential. Once we do this kind of test, the DNA fingerprinting will be completed. For this, just for the sake of understanding, here I have shown a diagram, this particular diagram where I am indicating the arrow. Here we have got the DNA banding of a female, DNA banding of a male, and then a child's DNA is compared. When you compare the child's DNA, you find here, if these two are the parents, then they share 50% of all the DNA material, including the satellite DNA, including the VNTRS and also the STR. That means the entire genome is shared between for the child. So one set from the haploid from the father, haploid set from the mother will come, and then the child will be shown here. You see, if you look at it, there is one paternal part of it. This is the male paternal part of it. One band is from the female or the mother. Like that, you can see the bands have got the inclusion of the male and the female, but in segment 1, 2, 3, third and the fourth do not show any male part. That means in this particular band there is no indication of the paternal indication. That means this child has got more maternal material than the paternal material, because if you follow the Mendel's laws of inheritance, there will be dominant and also recessive. So all these things will apply ultimately. So just to conclude today's talk, we say that the satellite DNA refers to the non-coding region, and that is heritable. Whatever is there, it's heritable. And this satellite DNA is seen normally in the telomeres and in the centromere. That is the region where we have we can use it for DNA fingerprinting. That is the most favorite for all the scientists. So with this, we will be ending the DNA fingerprinting. If you can ask a question, somebody will ask, what is the purpose of DNA fingerprinting? DNA fingerprinting technology is used for crime detection, is used for establishing the parentage. It is used to find out the persons when the person was living. We can even, generations can be traced by taking the dead persons. Even it is in the graveyard, they can pick up the DNA and test the DNA, and then they can give out the result. This is the gold standard test. This is the ultimate test to prove something. So if at all, if there is any doubt with any crime or any parentage or anything, the ultimate test they do would be DNA fingerprinting. It has got different names, and so we will try to stop at this part of the time and say goodbye to the molecular inheritance in your class 12th section. Thank you.